Since I started making stop motion animation films, I have always used materials I am most familiar with, paper clay or foam clays. This material is very easy to use, and I don't think I would ever stop using them to make puppets. However, I want to level up in puppet making, so I am going to venture into making interchangeable puppet faces using materials I have never tried like Cosclay and Sculpey. Just to remind my viewers, I am doing this for the first time, so I will be making mistakes along the way. And as I have always been saying, I love making these mistakes because it makes me understand more of the materials I use and their process. I started with Cosclay, making a skull that would be my basic mold for the outer layer of the head. I am using Cosclay because I can imagine that I would be able to put up flexible eye sockets where the eyeballs can rotate freely. I do not have any specific body for the puppet head, so I am just using the tip of my glue bottle to hold it. For the eyes, I always use the common craft wooden beads. They also come in different colors. Of course, I would only use either white or unpainted ones. Then, I baked it for 10 to 15 minutes at 130 degrees Celsius. As expected, after baking, the eyeballs can rotate inside the socket without popping out. Next, using Sculpey, I made the outer layer of the head beginning with the back half. I shaped the head the way I wanted it to look using the skull as the base. Bake it for 7 to 10 minutes at 130 degrees Celsius. After baking and cooling it down, I placed the skull back to make the front half of the head. I mold the features of the face directly on top of the skull so the fit will be exact. Adding more clay and sometimes cutting off some was needed to achieve the facial features I want for my character. I did not use any, but it might be a good idea to use a petroleum jelly on the skull to avoid it sticking and ruining your mold as you get it off. I kept adjusting it until it matched the other half, and I made sure that the eye sockets are of the right size for the eyeballs. Then baked. So now I have the basic face. To take excess parts of the baked front part of the head, I shaved or polished it off using a grinder or mini polisher. needed to make a mold out of this basic face, so I bought the Pencil Putty. But before that, I needed to put the eyeball in place on the face. To do this, I filled it up with tin foil. With equal amounts of Pencil Putty parts A and B, I mixed them up, placed the face flat on the table, and pressed the putty on top of it, making sure that all of the details will be imprinted properly. The Pencil Putty dries up fast, so after less than 15 minutes, it has hardened already. I took out the foil and cleaned the sides of the excess putty to have a better and easier way of getting the mold out. To follow the mold inside the face, I used Cosclay again to replace the foil for the next step. And then I baked the Cosclay filler. Now it's time to make the actual molds of the basic face. Put enough amount of flattened Sculpey in the Pencil Putty mold. I pressed the clay in and to the walls of the mold to make sure it will get the details. Using a piece of cling wrap, I pressed the Cosclay filler in and pressed hard to flatten the Sculpey clay. And then I removed the Cosclay filler, then the cling wrap. Then I slightly bent the Pencil Putty and popped the face mold out carefully. I trimmed excess clay around the face mold and removed the eye part. I cleaned or flattened the sides of the clay. Using a knife, I carved the desired shape of the mouth. When I was satisfied, I then baked the finished face. Repeating the process, I made 8 faces with different mouth impressions for lip syncing. I made the necessary adjustments, polishing it to make the surface smooth. Since I am usually using wire armatures for my puppets, the head cannot be too heavy. Using a Cosclay inner part of the head will compromise the weight. So, I am substituting foam clay for the skull. I am using the least used color from my foam clay stock as a material. I set the foam clay skull to dry up for at least a day. When dried, I added flesh-colored foam clay around the eye area. I cut a small portion below the eyes and placed a small magnet to help the face be in the correct place every time. Another magnet is also placed at the back of the face replacements. But I realized I forgot something. I forgot to give the puppet a pair of ears. So, with a tiny portion of Sculpey, I made a pair, baked it, and attached it to the face with glue. So as you can see, the shape of my face and the movement of my mouth is not really that clean yet. But I guess it's not bad for a first try. Are we done yet? So, can you give me a hand? Or hair at least?